So we're going to start off today with a presentation from Amy Tay, who is at Northeastern University. We are really excited to hear about an impact case study looking at the Trash2Treasure program at Northeastern University. So I am going to hand it over to Amy, and you are welcome to share your screen.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me today. My name is Amy Tay, and I'm here today representing Trash2Treasure, which is a student group at Northeastern University. And today I'll be sharing an impact case study based on our work and what we do on campus. So a little bit of background about Trash2Treasure. We are a student-run club or organization at Northeastern University in Boston, serving the campus community and beyond through our innovative sustainability programs. Our mission is to reduce waste on campus and make it more sustainable, more accessibility to sustainability, and also more fun. We were founded in 2009 as a subcommittee of a different student group here at Northeastern called the Husky Environmental Action Team. And we eventually grew our programs to be big enough to become our own independent student club, which we have been since 2016. And our club activities really center around our core program, which is called Trash2Treasure Collection and Trash2Treasure Sale. And they operate as a cycle throughout the school year, which I'll be talking about in this presentation. In addition, we also have mid-semester sustainability programs like thrift trips, DIY programs, and clothing swaps, and really anything that serves that mission of making sustainability on campus more accessible and more fun. So as I mentioned, I'm just one of the co-presidents along with Carrie, my co-president, and the rest of the board. We are entirely student run, and this is our spring 2023 leadership board. For our impact case study, we are using the research question of what is the sustainability impact of Trash2Treasure. But before I get into that, I really need to give you more information about how our program works, that core program of collection and sale. And it's really best illustrated as a cycle. And we follow the natural cycle of the university semesters from fall to spring semester. And I kind of have this as a sort of clock with 12 being December at the top. And I find it easiest to describe this way. So at the end of December, or in the middle, I guess, of December is the end of the fall semester. And as students are moving out to go home for break or wherever they might be going, they have a lot of things that they might not necessarily want anymore. And we put these big red bins in residence halls around campus where students can donate that stuff instead of throwing it away. And then we collect all that stuff, we sort through it, and we sell it at the beginning of the next semester, in this case, in January during our sale event. Then as the semester continues in the spring semester, we have our mid-semester programs. And at the end of the spring semester in April, we have our spring collection, which is our biggest effort of the year. We again put the big red bins in residence halls, and this is what one of those looks like with one of our volunteers. And we collect all that stuff again, store it over the summer, and then we host our fall sale in September. This is a picture of our fall sale in 2013. And we've done this almost every year since. It's a huge event, and it's really exciting to see how it's grown over the years. So to conduct this case study, we are using the 2022-ish calendar year. Our data collection period does span into December 2021 and into January 2023, just because of how our cycles work with the calendar year. But we'll be looking at 3 different collection and sales cycles across 2022. And our variables to measure their 2022 impact, we have 3 main variables for the 3 cycles: pounds of total items collected during that collection event in December and in April, pounds of items donated to textile recycling of those total items, and then dollars of revenue generated from sale. So these 3 variables will kind of serve to answer that question of what is our impact on campus. So beginning with the first cycle in that data collection period, in December 2021, we collected 1,200 pounds of items from students across campus, and 400 pounds of those items were donated to textile recycling. Our textile recycling partner is Helpsy. They're based in the Boston area, and they take all of the clothing and other textile items that we aren't able to sell and textile recycle it. Then we stored those items that we didn't textile recycle, and we sold them in January 2022, and we generated almost $1,200 in revenue from that sale. And the money from the sale, the profits, go to our volunteer groups. And those volunteer groups are other student groups around campus. So our biggest supporter is usually the women's and non-binary ultimate Frisbee team. They raise $100 each cycle with us. And I'll get a little bit more into that later. So moving into our next cycle in this data collection period, in April 2022, so the end of that spring semester, we collected 7,000 pounds of items, and 3,781 pounds of that was donated to textile recycling. So already you can see in both cycles, about half or a little over half of the items we collect do go to textile recycling. It's generally items that wouldn't be able to go to a new home because we don't feel comfortable selling it. So either it's damaged or stained or just wouldn't be hygienic to sell. And a big example of that is like bedding and sheets. And you can see here that based on the last collection, we generated a lot more of items collected. And that's just because more people are moving out in April because they're going home or wherever they're going for the summer. So our spring event is always larger than our winter event, but still interesting to see. And then in a fall sale in September, after we stored the items over the summer, we generated almost $6,000 in revenue. And the average price of an item at sale is about $4. Then at the end of that fall semester in December 2022, we collected 1,768 pounds and 752 pounds of that was donated to textile recycling with HelpC. Again, less than the spring semester previously, but it was more than the previous fall semester. And we generated a little over $2,000 in revenue. I also have data about our volunteers for this cycle. So we had 13 volunteer organizations, one of them being the Ultimate Frisbee team that I mentioned. And in total, they contributed 160 hours of volunteer hours. And then for each one of those hours they get paid for this cycle, it was $13 per hour that goes directly to the student group as a fundraising opportunity for them. So in total, across those 3 cycles, we collected over 10,000 pounds of items, and almost 5,000 pounds of that was donated to HelpC, our textile recycling partner. So just that alone, you're able to see the impact of all those items would have gone to the landfill. And we were able to divert that instead, and all those items were able to either find a new home or a new purpose, so reducing waste on campus. And in total, we generated a little over $9,000 in revenue, and the profits of that go back into the campus community in that circular economy with our volunteer groups. And then again, we had 13 volunteer organizations for that last cycle, and 160 hours were contributed. And because we just finished our spring semester in 2023 last month, I do have the data for our spring collection. And I wanted to bring that just to kind of compare how we've been growing on campus and expanding our impact. So again, we had our 10,000 pounds, 5,000 pounds, $9,000, 13 and 160 for our numbers. And you can see here in just one collection, we've already beat 4 out of 5 of those variables, still to see about the revenue because that will be in September. But most recently, we collected over 11,000 pounds of items this April, diverting that from the landfill, and we donated 5,000 pounds to textile recycling. We had 18 volunteer groups and 238 hours in total, and they generated over $3,000 in fundraising money that went back into the community already. We also have another set of important partners that we work with. One of them is called NU Mutual Aid. It's another student group here on campus, and they work to support the community. So we donated 300 pounds of food, primarily food, and then also hygiene products to NU Mutual Aid, again, going back into the community. We also have a new partner this year. We're really excited to be able to accept those foam mattress toppers that a lot of students have on their dorm mattress. After they're done living in the dorms, they often just throw it away because they don't have a use for it, or it's too difficult to store or find a new home for. This year, for the first time, we were able to accept them because our student advisor was able to find a mattress recycler that will accept them. So we're working with Green Mattress. It's another organization here in Boston, and they accepted over 700 pounds of mattress toppers that we collected. And we're hoping to expand that in the future because, again, this was the first year, but already you can see an amazing amount of waste being diverted from the landfill. So just to reiterate, in a little over 1 year in that data collection period of 2022, over 10,000 pounds of items were diverted from the landfill that we were able to collect and instead find a new home for or a new purpose for. And 5,000 pounds of that were textile recycled through our partner. And again, on campus, we serve to provide students with not only an accessible way to get rid of things sustainably, but also an affordable way and accessible way to acquire those secondhand items that are new to them. And that's where we got our name of Trash2Treasure, as students would otherwise have thrown it away. Instead, it can find a new home or a new purpose. And the reason why we're here today is really just to share our impact, because we believe we serve as a great example of an attainable, sustainable circular economy that works with community partners and operates in a campus environment. And our goal is to showcase the impact of our program so that stakeholders at other campus environments like universities or colleges could model their own program after what we do or take inspiration from different aspects. So thank you so much for having me today, and I'm happy to answer any questions. To get in contact with us or to learn more, everything can be found at that link.
Thank you so much for that presentation. It is a really, really cool and I think innovative program. And it's clear just from the little bit that you shared with us that there's been so much thought and intention that has gone into making this. So thank you for sharing about this, this really important work. So we have about 5 minutes for questions. So I know I have some questions, but I want to give other people in the audience a chance first. If you have a question, feel free to just unmute yourself and ask the question, or you're welcome to message the question over text to me or Kate, or you can also raise your hand. So I will pause here and see if anyone has any questions. Okay, well, I can start it off. So I was just kind of wondering if you could talk a little bit about you have so many different partners, and it must have been a lot of work and challenging to kind of get buy-in from all of those different partners, and including from more of like the institutional or things that you were required to make this project happen. Can you talk a little bit about like what enabled you to build those partnerships, or like any kind of challenges that you had to overcome?
Yeah, that's a great question. So like you mentioned, we're lucky to have a bunch of really amazing partners, and it's really been generated over the years. We started as an independent club in 2016, and even before that in 2009. So I'm lucky to have students before me who have forged these partnerships. And we're also very lucky to have a student advisor for our club. Her name is Sue Higgins, and she's the facilities director at Northeastern. She's amazing, and she is really passionate about what we do as well. So she's helped us get connected with Green Mattress, for example, this year. And she also has a relationship with Help See, our textile recycling partner. Beyond that, we're always looking to collaborate with other groups. So the NU Mutual Aid was actually started during my time here, and we've already been able to have such a strong partnership with our food and hygiene product donations. But it is difficult to create new partnerships, especially from institutional organizations like the university itself. We're lucky again to have a great advisor, and she works with us, but especially one of our biggest challenges is finding storage space to store all the items that we collect, because we haven't been able to find a place on campus for us to store over the summer. So currently we are using pods, which is a challenge. So that's kind of an ongoing conversation we have with the university. And in terms of advice, I would really just say it's important to understand what you're bringing to the partner, what they can bring to you, and also just, if you can, have an advocate like for us, our advisor, to stand with you and kind of vouch for what you do, especially as a student organization. And numbers like today, like I presented, they've definitely helped us, especially at the university, to say, we divert over 10,000 pounds each year. And we are a big program on campus, so really understanding your value and being able to state that would be my best advice.
Thank you so much. That was really helpful and insightful. I think we have time for at least one more question. Does anyone else have a question they want to offer?
Yeah, I could ask unless Griffin wants to go. He raised his hand there.
You could take it, Evan.
All right, sounds good. I was just wondering, as somebody who just kind of is coming out of a university pretty similar to Northeastern, coming out of Boston College, how would you advise other, organizations, be they student organizations or, outside community organizations, to start kind of a movement like this? Whether it was something that you learned from doing it that you would change, or something that you did that worked well?
That's a great question. Beyond a campus environment, I would say any community could have something like this. The biggest challenge really is that storage. So I think a small scale solution to kind of replicate something similar is to have like a clothing swap. We've done that before, and you could also expand that beyond clothing, of course, to have other items. Just have a day when people bring things that they don't want anymore and then kind of exchange items. And you could try that out for like one day. We've done that with the clothing swap. It's always very successful, but you do usually have like things left over. So it's important to have a plan for where that could go. And I really recommend Help See. They're great. So that's usually what we'll do at the end of our clothing swap if we have things left over. I can type it in the chat too. It's called Help See, and they're based in Boston.
Great, thank you. So we have 1 minute left for Q&A. Griffin, did you have a question that you wanted to ask?
Sure. I was wondering how or if there's a plan to like change this in any way going forward, since you've been seeing it grow over these past few years. And it's amazing to see how it's grown, especially even within the last year. Is there any other organizations you're thinking of partnering with, or just new programs, initiatives?
Yeah, great question. Our biggest initiative for the coming year is really to get that storage space on campus. And our pipe dream is really that we'll be able to collect year round. We always get students asking like, oh, I missed collection, like, can I donate stuff? And it really hurts to have to say like, sorry, we can't take it, knowing that probably what will end up happening is they'll have to throw it away. So our dream is really to have like a permanent collection spot, but we just don't have the storage for that right now. So given our growth, like you mentioned, we're hoping to be able to work with the university and find a permanent storage space. That's really our dream.
Awesome, that's very exciting. So we're kind of out of time for Q&A, but if everyone can just give Amy a big virtual round of applause or actual round of applause, whatever you prefer. But thank you so much for sharing. And I think we should definitely connect between our group at Boston College and you, because I think there's a lot we could learn from the work that you're doing. And we have a couple of clothing swaps planned that maybe there would be ways we can partner. So
yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yay. Okay, so we're going to continue moving. We're slowly getting a little bit more on schedule, so I'm gonna try to do my best to get us back on schedule. So like I said earlier, there's a Q&A, a presenter feedback form that we have available. The link for it's here. Kate will drop it in the Zoom chat, but if you have any additional questions, or this like presentation gave you some like thoughts or ideas, or you have like a connection, like, oh, I really think that you need to talk to this organization, this is a great place to share those ideas, and we will make sure that the responses get to the presenter by the within the next few weeks.